Right, today we'll be solving the questions from the year 2025, month of April. Um, all the questions we'll try to um go through it, try to cover it, and let's bring in a lot of uh, attention to the newer questions that have been asked. I would like you to share this video, like, subscribe again, so that any further video uploads can be viewed by all of you, and you take most benefit of this discussion. Um, the first question here is on the SOLAS chapter 15, the new code which has come, the IP code. I made a separate video over it, trying to describe the nitty gritties in this code, why it has been introduced, and what is the purpose of it. Now let's go to the question. Explain the objectives and scope of SOLAS chapter 15. Describe the type of ships and operations to which it applies, and define the term industrial personnel as per the code. Part B is discuss the key safety measures and certificate required for carrying industrial personnel under SOLAS chapter 15. Include reference to the IP code and the role of flag administration. Now here you will see that it has two parts, two sections, 8 marks each. And first is to explain the objective and scope of chapter 15. Where does it imply? What is industrial personnel? The term, definition of it. And this part two is to discuss the safety measures and certification requirement of this chapter 15 with reference to the IP code and role of flag administration again. Coming to the objective, enhances the safety of ship carrying industrial personnel engaged in offshore and energy related activities, provide harmonized international framework to address risk posed by the presence of large number of industrial personnel aboard vessel not traditionally designed for passenger vessel, ensures uniform application of safety standards for such vessel across flag state. Now, over the period of time, we have been observing that there is a riding crew or specialized technicians who are there on board, who sail with the vessel. Uh, Usually, where companies go take dispensation to carry this personnel, or some people are some trainees are in fact signed off to accommodate these personnel. So, to have some uniformity across member flag states, the IP code has been introduced. It is also applicable to offshore as well as energy related activities. Okay. Part B, the second issue is provides a harmonized international framework, as I said, to address the risk posed by presence of large number of industrial personnel aboard a vessel. Okay. And the scope as per chapter 15 applies to ships transporting more than 12 industrial personnel. So remember that it's more than 12 industrial personnel. That's when the chapter 15 comes into force. If it supplements other SOLAS requirement for cargo ships, the associated IP code becomes mandatory under chapter 15 from 1st July 2024. So right now, this is mandatory applicability to all the new ships constructed after 1st July 24. Existing ship, if they undergo major conversion that changes the ship's type or service, type of ships: offshore support vessels, wind farm service vessels, and other specialized vessels carrying IP to and from the offshore installations. Correct. So anything more than 12 members qualifies to the IP code. Definition of industrial personnel means person who are transported or accommodated. Okay, they can be either be transported to offshore facility, or they are accommodated like an accommodation barge, accommodated on a ship to work on offshore industrial activities, including construction, maintenance, repair, and inspection tasks. So either they are being transported or they are accommodated. Okay, and these personnel are meant to work on the in offshore industrial offshore industrial activities in construction, maintenance, sometimes repairs and inspection tasks. Okay, they are not supposed to be passenger or crew, must be trained and medically fit at their roles, and must be capable of emergency evacuation and survival at sea. Meaning, all the SOLAS certificates need to be valid. They must be aware of the emergency evacuation. Key safety measures and certification requirement. Okay. Part 1 is stability and subdivision. Enhanced requirement for damage stability and intact stability due to increased personnel on board. So there is a damage and intact stability. So here, what to do is we take care of the design must take care of this additional damage and intact stability for carrying those for people more than 12. Life-saving appliances, lifeboats, and life raft size to accommodate total persons of crew plus IP. The IP must have access to suitable immersion suit and life jacket. Yes. Escape and evacuation, clear escape routes, signage, evacuation drill for IP. Safe boarding, disembarking procedures. Fire protection. Fire detection, extinguishing upgraded based on increased fire load due to added accommodation here. Training and familiarization. Industrial personnel must complete basic safety training as per the TCW requirement. They must be familiarized with shipboard procedures, emergency signals and equipments, communications and language. IP must understand shipboard communication, especially the emergency instructions. Now, certification requirement here are the IPSC certificate. It is issued by the flag administration or its recognized organization. It confirms that compliance with SOLAS Chapter 15 and the IP code. Flag administration rule ensures ships comply with SOLAS Chapter 15 and the IP code before issue of certificate. They also approve the safety management system, training plans, and design features, can authorized RO to carry out inspections and certification. Now, additional document, ship safety management certificate must reflect the changes in operation and personnel types. Document of compliance may need to be updated if IP operation affects ISM code applicability. Right. First of all, the flag requirement will be IPSC certificate. Then the flag administration role, they approved the safety management system must be approved, training plans and the design feature must be approved by the flag administration. Additional requirement, ship safety management certificate, SMC, must reflect changes in operation and personnel types. Okay, let's go to the second question, that is define clear grounds as per port state procedures. Understand what circumstances can an inspector establish clear grounds for more detailed inspection on board vessel. That is part A. Part B is, as a chief engineer, explain the immediate action you will take on board if you disagree with the port state officer decision to detain the vessel due to engine room deficiencies. Okay. And part C is describe the procedure for requesting a review of detention through detention review panel and what steps must be followed and what role does the flag state and classification society play a role in the process. So this question needs to be attempted, like you're answering six, so this I believe is a very good question to be answered because most of us can attempt here, provided we have the good definition of clear grounds and rest of them will follow. Correct. Clear grounds, the definition is, are conditions or evidence that provide sufficient reason for the port state officer to suspect non-compliance with international maritime regulation, justifying a more detailed inspection of a vessel. So clear grounds may include certificate document not valid or missing, crew members unable to communicate effectively or demonstrate emergency procedures, oil record book or other logs with inconsistencies, apparent hull machinery or equivalent deficiencies, evidence of pollution or poor housekeeping, operational drills not conducted satisfactorily, previous history of detention or deficiency, complaints from crew or third party. So these are all the clear grounds. Clear grounds are the condition or evidences that provide sufficient reason for the port state officer to suspect non-compliance with international maritime regulations, justifying a more detailed inspection of the vessel. Now, action by chief engineer if vessel is detained due to engine room deficiency. What action can he take? As a chief engineer, if I disagree with the detention, I would remain professional and cooperative with the PSC officer. First thing is you need to be very professional throughout the inspection and cooperative with the PSC officer. Review and document the deficiencies cited in the PSC report, that is the Form B of it. Provide evidence or explanation in the form of documentation, records, photographs, maintenance logs to justify that the deficiencies are not as serious as claimed. That is the first thing. Notify the master and inform the DPA immediately. Contact the flag state and classification society to request support and clarifications. Right. Request reconsideration of PSC officer if backed with solid evidence. Correct. Then ensures all correspondences and actions are logged in engine room logbook and safety management system. And if unsuccessful, initiate the formal review process through detention review panel. So there is a detention review panel. If this is becoming unsuccessful, then you can initiate a formal review process through detention review panel. And part C, procedure for requesting a review via detention review panel. Step by step. First, you initiate the procedure. The ship owner, operator, or flag state must submit a formal request to review to PSC authority that issued the detention. The request must be submitted within the prescribed time, typically 30 days of detention. Submission of evidence. Provide the PSC inspection report, relevant certificates, technical justifications, photographs, and crew statements. Include an explanation of corrective actions which have been taken. Role of stakeholders. The company in through DPA must coordinate with stakeholders, he needs to compile all the evidences, submit the review request. Flag state support the ship if detention is believed to be unjustified and may escalate the matter to the DRP. DRP again is a detention review panel. Classification society through RO may inspect the ship and provide an independent technical opinion or a report. Review by DRP. Now comprises independent experts not involved in the detention, review both the PSC officer's rationale and the ship's evidences, issue an opinion on whether the detention was justified or not. So final decision is with the DRP. Okay, now final decision is not with the DRP. While the DRP opinion is non-binding, it can influence the PSC authority to reconsider or remove the detention from public records. Like you have the Equasis. Helps in reputational protection of the vessel and the company. So DRP's opinion is not binding, but the PSC authority uh, needs to reconsider or remove the detention from the public records if he or she, if of course the institution finds um, the DRP's opinion against it. And part three of the question paper is explain the concept of underwater radiated noise generated by ships, identify its primary sources, and discuss the effects of such noises on marine life. Part B is describe the international regulation, guidelines, best practices aimed at reducing underwater noise. What operational design and maintenance measures can be implemented to minimize underwater noise? Also, explain the role of chief engineer in ensuring compliance. Now, underwater noise. It's if you know a bit of matter, here you can attempt this question and and you can write can have an elaborate answer here because it is divided into subdivisions. There is part A, part B, and within the parts there are sub questions. So a good question to attempt. Underwater radiated noise is a sound energy emitted by the ship into the water surrounded during its normal operation. Noise can propagate over a long distance, impacting marine ecosystems, particularly marine mammals. They are referring to whales, and dolphins, and other aquatic animals. Primary source of URN or propeller cavitation, main contributor to URN, occurs when pressure drops on the propeller blade surface, creates vapor bubbles which collapses and emits noise. So these vapor bubbles, which are formed during cavitation, they explode, they collapse, and they emit a noise. Machinery noise, again vibration from main engine generator pumps transmitted through the hull into the water. Hull vibration caused by interaction of propeller wake with the hull and structural resonance. Flow noise, water flowing through the hull appendages, especially at high speed, can cause turbulent noise. Effects of URN on marine life. Disruption of communication navigation for species like whales and dolphins that rely on echolation. Stress behavior changes in fish and marine mammals. Hearing damage in extreme cases. Habitat avoidance. affecting migration, breeding, and feeding pattern. The part B of the question is the international guidelines and the best practices. It is issued by MEPC in the year 2014, non-mandatory but provides guidance for on-ship design, maintenance, operation to reduce URN. Focuses on commercial ships above 1,600 gross tonnage. Measures to reduce URN, again design features, efficient propeller design to reduce cavitation, resilient engine mounts and vibration isolation system, hull form optimization to reduce flow noise. Operational measures, again speed reduction in sensitive marine zones, route planning to avoid critical habitats, minimizing sudden engine RPM changes to reduce vibration and cavitation. That can be done. And from the maintenance part of view, regular propeller polishing, hull cleaning, timely engine alignment and vibration monitoring, of course, preventive maintenance of machineries and bearing renewals if necessary. Role of chief engineer in compliance: ensure propeller machinery maintenance are done as per schedule to reduce vibration and noise, monitor URN sources, use condition monitoring tool to detect abnormal noise and vibration pattern, training, train engine room personnel on best practices for minimizing URN, collaboration with the master, especially in particularly sensitive sea areas, PSSA, particularly sensitive sea areas or marine protected areas. We need to be more cautious, and master needs to inform down below when the vessel is about to transit such area. Record keeping, document maintenance, and operational practices related to URN control for environmental audits or inspections. Now, coming to brief discuss, question number 4, that is briefly discuss the purpose and objectives of OPRC, Oil Pollution Preparedness Response and Cooperation Convention. Discuss the responsibility of the flag state under this convention and list the documents required to be carried on board as per this provision. First of all, an easy question needs to be attempted. OPRC purpose, objective, flag state responsibility, and required document. So full name again: Oil Pollution Preparedness Response Cooperation. OPRC 1990, adopted 1990 and enforced 1995. To ensure that the ship's offshore units, port authorities, coastal states are prepared and capable of responding promptly and effectively to oil pollution incidents. The objective is to establish a global framework for oil spill preparedness and response, promote cooperation between states for effective and timely oil spill response, ensure reporting, notifying, and response mechanism are in place for incidents, minimize the impact of oil pollution on the marine environment. Coastal areas provide a mechanism to technical assistance and mutual aid between the countries. Responsibilities of OPRC again is all the ships flying its flag carry an approved SOPAP. Ships are equipped and maintained to meet the pollution prevention and response standards set under MARPOL Annex 1. Notification reporting: the master or a person in charge must report a oil pollution incident without delay to the nearest coastal state uh, using the prescribed format. And um, national system requirement: again, develop and maintain a national contingency plan for oil spill preparedness and response. Also, to ensure coordination between the intergovernment agencies, port authority, and the maritime industry at large. Training and exercises: ensure vessels and personnel undergo the training drills and the exercises to maintain response readiness. That is why we have a contingency plan on board, and a lot of drills are designed in such a way that various scenarios are anticipated well in advance, and vessels staff are made to go through the drills rigorously. Technical cooperation with other countries and provide assistance or equipment in case of a major pollution incidents. This we have recently observed in many cases the vessel where there is an incident of pollution and there have been collaboration among the neighboring countries, assistance and supply of equipments to contain the pollution incidents. Now, coming to the documentation that are required on board under the OPRC convention. Now, the SOPEP again is a document that needs to be carried out, that needs to be kept on board, and it is applicable to oil tankers above 150 gross tonnage and all the other vessels of 400 gross tonnage. Uh, SEM, again, it is for the uh, chemical tankers that are carrying noxious liquid substances, mandatory for them. Oil record book, of course, for oil tankers, 150 gross tonnage, and other vessels of 400 gross tonnage. Emergency contact list is applicable to all vessels and needs to be updated at regular basis. Now, the question number 5, which have been asked here, is explain the scope and application of Admiralty law in India. Discuss the key provisions of the Admiralty 2017, including the jurisdiction of high courts and the types of maritime claims which are recognized. Who are the assessors in the context of Admiralty proceedings? Describe their qualification role and how they assist the court in interpreting technical maritime matters. Good question again, divided into two parts, part A and B, 8 marks each. Now, coming to the scope and application of Admiralty law in India, Admiralty law governs maritime legal disputes, including issues involving vessels, maritime claims, even collision, salvage, cargo claims, seafarer wages, ship arrest, everything. In India, the Admiralty modernized the colonial era law, Admiralty Court Act 1861, and aligned with Indian law with international conventions. Now, here the jurisdiction, original jurisdiction is High Court of Bombay, Calcutta, Madras, Karnataka, Gujarat, Orissa. So, all the coastal states except your Andhra Pradesh is, I think, coming under Madras, and Calcutta is taking care of Orissa. Bombay has one, Gujarat, Karnataka, Orissa, Kerala is coming under Madras, I think. Types of claim recognized. Okay, personal injury, the wages of crew, supply of goods, ship construction repair. Yes, arrest of vessel. High Court can order arrest of ship for enforcing a maritime claim or lien. For enforcing a maritime claim or lien, the uh, the High Court can order an arrest of the vessel. Sale of ship, again, court can order judicial sale of vessel to satisfy claim with proceeds distributed based on priorities. Protection of interest, again, provisions for protection of seafarers, the mortgages, the lien holders, and the third party. So so their interests are protected by this Admiralty law. Part B is the role of assessors in the Admiralty proceedings. Now, assessors are technical maritime experts again, appointed by the court, the High Court in case of India, by to assist the judges in interpreting specialized maritime and shipping matters. Qualifications are usually they are master mariners, ship engineers, surveyors, naval architects, or uh, experts involved in maritime operation. Right? Most possess substantial practical experience in commercial shipping or in marine engineering. Now, the role and functions. The technical advice can be provided. Expert interpretation can be carried out. Neutral and objective in nature. Right. Technical advice assists the court in understanding the complex shipboard operation, navigation engineering, and maritime practices. Expert interpretation offers insight into the colrec, the collision regulation, the SOLAS safety of life at sea, ISM code, collision dynamics, or vessel stability. Right. Neutral and objective, they do not represent either parties. Instead, they provide an independent expertise to aid just decision making in this case. Question number 6, again to explain the concept of CII, being asked again and again. Critically discuss the role of measuring metrics in ER and again EOI, Energy Efficiency Operational Index. What are the measures required to be taken by the vessel to improve the ratings of CII? Carbon intensity indicator, again the concept metrics and the improvement measures. That is the first part. And concept of CI rating, again the carbon intensity indicator is a measure introduced by the IMO under MARPOL Annex 6 through their regulation number 28 to monitor and to reduce the operational carbon emission of ships. The purpose has always been to encourage vessels to operate more efficiently, reduce the fuel consumption, and lower the CO2 emission per cargo carrying work. That is gram of CO2 per ton mile. So that's how we are calculating it. Application again to all cargo vessels, RoPax, cruise ships of greater than 5,000 gross tonnage. It has become mandatory since 1st January 2023 under IMO short-term greenhouse gas reduction strategy. And the rating scale is from A to E, with A being the best and E the worst. It's quite easy here. And measuring matrix, that is the comparison between EER and EEOI, the annual efficiency ratio and the energy efficiency operational index. Now, as per the definition, EER is CO2 emission per ton of cargo capacity per distance traveled. That is CO2 emitted per cargo capacity divided by the product of cargo capacity and the distance traveled. And energy efficiency operation index, it is CO2 emission per unit of cargo carried per distance. Okay, so the formula, you can just see the difference. The total CO2 emitted in a year, AER will calculate per year divided by the dead weight into the distance, whereas EEOI is total CO2 emitted divided by cargo carried times the distance. So there is a dead weight in AER and there is cargo carried in EEOI. So data source of AER is from the data collection system, uh, and in case of EEOI, it is the actual cargo carried in tons. So used for CII, yes, CII is directly based on AEI. Okay, and EEOI used for internal performance monitoring. Okay, best use regulation compliance, CII, operational optimization, and benchmarking. So you can use EOI for benchmarking, and AER can be used mostly in um, what do you call the regulation compliance. Key difference again: AER is simpler, uses a design deadweight, and is used for regulatory compliance. That is for mostly for your CII ratings is mostly for your regulatory compliance, and AER is simpler in calculation and uses design deadweight, which is not actually the case because because you need to take care of the tons of cargo being carried out. Just with the deadweight, you will not get accurate measurement of the pollution being caused here, right? So going to question number 7, briefly discuss the concept of wetting inspection and their significance in maritime oil trade. How does wetting inspection contribute to the continuous improvement in safety culture within the oil tanker sectors? And discuss the emerging trends or advancements in wetting procedures, including the integration of technology and data analytics. Now, this has been commonly asked question, but then for the bulk carriers, you also have the right ship. So the question can also change that way. What is a wetting inspection? A wetting inspection again is a detailed assessment of a vessel's safety, environmental, and operational standards typically carried out by oil majors, charterers, or wetting organization before cargo is contracted. It focuses primarily on the oil, chemical, and gas tankers. Ensures ship comply with the industry best practices and regulatory requirements through the SOLAS, MARPOL, and ISCOT. Yeah, identifies potential risk before cargo loading, preventing accidents or pollutions. Now, OCIMF oversees the SNARE program, the leading tanker vetting platform here, and charterers like Shell, BP, Total, Chevron. Okay, they maintain their own vetting database. Significance in maritime oil trade: vetting ensures only safe and reliable tankers are employed in oil cargo operations, helps avoid detention, pollution incidents, or financial penalties, increases accountability among owners, operators, and drives up standards. Contribution to safety culture and continuous improvement encourages proactive safety management system. That is the your SMS is proactively improved, highlights recurring deficiencies, promoting corrective and preventive actions, fosters a culture of compliance, transparency, and self-improvement. Vetting outcomes are often tied to future chartering opportunities, in incentivizing higher performances. Now, Coming to the emerging trends and the technological advancements and vetting, the SIDE 2.0 program has recently been introduced, which is more human behavior centric, where over their past experience, they have observed that most of the accidents are due to the human error. So SIDE 2.0 program is in that uh, in that direction. A more granular and a risk-based inspection regime introduced progressively from 2023 onwards focuses on human factors, behavior-based observations, and digital checklists. Uses inspectors tablets to standardize the inspection and reduce subjectivity. Most of us have gone through this SIDE 2.0 digitalization and remote monitoring again. Increased use of real-time data from the vessel performance, like the VDR, the engine monitoring system, AIS, ECDIS analytics also, data analytics and predictive tools. Charterers now use big data analytics to assess vessels' performance trend, port state control records, incident history, and maintenance cycle. Helps in pre-screening vessels before vetting is even scheduled. There is a pre-screening that happens before the inspector comes on board. Integration with Q88, Equisys, and other databases, vessel platforms now cross-reference data from the sources in even the right ship for better decision making. Crew and human factor emphasis, again, crew competence, onboard safety culture, training effectiveness is being monitored. Cyber security checks. Again, emerging vetting standards include basic evaluation of the vessel's cyber hygiene and the digital control system protections in line with the IMO, that is the your FAL convention, that is MSC FAL 1 Circular number 3. Environmental and ESG focus. Vetting now considers carbon intensity as a factor. I think coming to the question number 8 again, what is P&I Club? Describe the P&I Club, how it collects funds, ship owners. We have already discussed this part earlier. What are the risks that are covered under the term protection and indemnity, and how does P&I Club handle claims, and what is the procedure for filing a claim? Now, the definition goes that P&I Clubs is a non-profit a mutual insurance association. It's a non-profit mutual insurance association that provides a third-party liability insurance for ship owners, operators, and even the charters. How funds are collected? P&I operates on a mutual basis. Members contribute to a common pool. Funds are collected through, let us say, advance call. So, what is an advance call? An initial estimated contribution based on vessel size, its trade, and claim history. Supplementary call. Additional charges made during or after the policy years if claim exceeds the estimates. For example, there has been incident of a claim by the ship owner, then a supplementary call comes into picture. Release calls, final settlement to close off the liability from the previous policy years. If there are any liabilities from the previous policy years, then a release call is there. Now, deductibles, member also pay a portion of a claim before the P&I Club liability kicks in. So, the four ways: advance call, supplementary, release, and deductibles. Now, the risk covered under protection and indemnity, well, it covers loss of life, injury, illness of the crew as well as passengers, third parties, repatriation of seafarers, cost and substitute crews, and stowaways and refugees are also taken care here. Damage to the fixed and floating objects like vessel banks onto a dock or a jetty or a pier. Pollution liabilities also, oil and hazardous spill is taken care of. This is the protection part. Now coming to the indemnity, property and financial liability, cargo loss or damage during a transit. Okay, collision liability not covered under hull and machinery insurance, wreck removal and disposal, fines and penalties, quarantine and deviation costs. All this come under indemnity. How P&A Club handles claims and procedure for filing. Okay, claiming handle procedures, claims handling procedures. Incident occurs, let us say injury, pollution, cargo damage, etc. Now, immediate reporting will be chief officer, chief engineer. In this case, reports the DPA, ship owner, who contracts the P&I correspondent in the port. Send detail. to the P&I promptly with all the incident reports, the statements, the photographical evidences, the logbook entries, and appointment of surveyors and correspondents. Club appoints a local surveyor or a legal expert to assess the damage and gather evidences. Investigation and assessment. Detailed documentation is reviewed and the fault and liabilities are evaluated in this case. Now, the ninth question is guidelines on the maritime cyber risk assessment management are laid down in the MSc FAL 1 Circular 3, considering the guidelines elaborate the following. There are four different sections here. Name all the onboard systems which are prone for cyber risk due to vulnerability created by assessing, interconnecting, or networking of such systems. Part B is explain the elements of cyber risk management, and Part C is discuss the importance of cyber security in maritime sector, differentiate between the IT and the OT system with suitable examples. Most of us have gone through it. We'll be coming with a detailed answer to this part. What I'll say is, even if you miss out on the question number 9, you have good 6 questions where in this particular month, which can easily be attempted, and and uh, try to choose such questions which have more subdivisions, like you have those 4 4 4 4, like 4 marks each. Sometimes you have a 5 combination with 5 marks, 4, and some definitions, because once you get the definition right, then you have almost got the core of the question, and then then the other parts are quite elaborative in nature. So try to wisely choose your questions, and okay, take care of the time that you're spending on each question, so that you can easily attempt all the 6 in the stipulated time. Also have a good practice of writing down the answers, because your speed matters on that day. Also try to highlight the key points, uh, because this is a pen and paper exam, so you need to have a good uh, presentation of your answers, because most of the time, if you do not have the right presentation, the surveyor may just overlook what you have written. So I would like to finish it off for today. Tomorrow we'll come up with another set of questions. Thank you for following and watching, and hope you subscribe to the channel to get the updates on regular basis. Thank you.